A very good afternoon to each one of you. So, we have our next lecture, that is lecture number 2, which is a special lecture of Laplace transform. So, earlier we have discussed about signal and system basics, that is how the signals are categorized like a continuous time, discrete time signal, and what are the properties of signals and how there are different types of signals, shifting, scaling, linearity, and all these kind of things we have already discussed in our first lecture. So, we have now the next lecture based on Laplace transform. So, basically Laplace transform, earlier we have whatever we have studied, that is in time domain. So, in this special lecture we are going to see how the time domain signal is transformed into a frequency domain signal. So, we are using here Laplace transform for converting a time domain signal into frequency domain signal. So, what is motivation behind the Laplace transform? Why Laplace transform is so much important in signals and systems? So, another important mathematical tool in the study of signals and system, which is known as basically Laplace transform. There are another kind of transforms also in signal and system like Fourier transform, Z transform, etc. So, the Laplace transform can be viewed as a generalization of the Fourier transform. So, in Fourier transform, if you know about Fourier transform, or if you earlier have read something about Fourier transform in mathematical courses like in engineering mathematics, in Fourier transform we use j omega, and instead of Laplace transform we use S domain. So, in S domain we have both the parts, that is real and imaginary part. So, if we look out Laplace transform, it has both the parts, that is real and imaginary part. So, this is the real part and this is the imaginary part. So, if the real part becomes 0, if sigma becomes 0, in that case the Laplace transform of a signal is equivalent to Fourier transform of a signal. Both the transform will becomes equal if real part becomes 0. So, in Fourier transform we have j omega, in Laplace transform we have sigma plus j omega, which is called as S domain. So, due to its more general nature, the Laplace transform has a number of advantages over the Fourier transform. First, the Laplace transform representation exists for some signals that do not contains Fourier transform representation. So, we can handle larger class of signals with the help of the Laplace transform. Second, since the Laplace transform is a more general tool, it can provide additional insight beyond those facilitated by the Fourier transform. In this lecture or in the next lecture, we will see how the Laplace transform can be viewed as a special category of the transform, as we will discuss here region of convergence for these transform. In the case of the Fourier transform, we does have only Dirichlet condition, but not region of convergence for the Fourier transform. So, here we have a motivation for reading this Laplace transform. We know there are large variety of signals we have, and we just convert those signals, those time domain signals into Fourier domain signals, or in Laplace transform domain signal, or in frequency domain you can say, and we will see how the region of convergence defined for these kind of signals. So, what is the motivation behind the Laplace transform? We can see here from the equation itself that we have a LTI system. You can draw a LTI system which has a transfer function of Hs. Input we will use here e to the power st, and output we have yt. So, in general we know in the convolution domain or in the time domain we have some methods like to find out the output, that is yt is equivalent to xt convolution ht. If we perform Laplace transform, this yt becomes ys, and this e to the power st becomes Laplace of e to the power st. So, what we have h multiplied by e to the power st, this is suppose h in the frequency domain. So, h multiplied by e to the power st, which becomes hs e to the power st. So, in Laplace domain we have output represented by, or the frequency response of the Laplace transform is represented here minus infinity to infinity e to the power ht e to the power minus st dt. So, this equation is basically the frequency or the transfer function. It is called as transfer function for Laplace transform. So, here Hs is represented for in the case of the Laplace transform. In Fourier, this S becomes j omega, and we can represent h of j omega minus infinity to infinity h of t e to the power minus j omega t dt. So with this equation, we can easily find out what will be the Laplace transform of a signal xt. So we can generalize this formula xs, that is minus infinity to infinity xt e to the power minus st and dt. This is the more general formula for finding out the Laplace transform of a signal xt. So if there is a time domain signal xt given, we can easily find out the Laplace transform with the help of this equation. So previously we referred to h as the system function. As it turns out, h is the Laplace transform of a small h. We can say, since the Laplace transform has already appeared earlier in the context of the LTI system, it is clearly a useful tool. Furthermore, as we will see, the Laplace transform has additional uses. So we can see here, with the help of the LTI system, what we are inputting it, e to the power st, and this function multiplied by h of the Laplace transform of the system, that is called as transfer function, will give you output ys. So here ys is basically e to the power st into h. We can write like this. So in next we have bilateral Laplace transform. So the bilateral Laplace transform, as the word signifies, bilateral means it is two-sided Laplace transform. So the range from minus infinity to infinity, there are two ranges, that is minus infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity, as it is a continuous time signal. So the bilateral Laplace transform has the entire range from minus infinity to infinity. It is defined by xs, which in the earlier slide we have already seen, that xs is equivalent to Laplace of xt, which is defined as minus infinity to infinity xt e to the power minus st dt. In the inverse Laplace transform, we can define with the help of Laplace inverse of x, which is 1 upon 2 pi j, that is integration over sigma minus j infinity to sigma plus j infinity x of s e to the power st ds. You can find out this easily with the help of the LTI system and using the formula for the Fourier transform. In the Fourier transform, we have x of t. If you see the Fourier transform equation, the inverse Fourier transform xt is equivalent to 1 upon 2 pi minus infinity to infinity x of j omega e to the power j omega t d omega. So we can write like this for the Fourier transform of the for the inverse Fourier transform of the signal x of j omega. Similarly, we can find out the inverse Laplace transform with this formula, that is 1 upon 2 pi j integration from sigma minus j infinity. Obviously, it has some real part and imaginary part, to sigma plus j infinity x of s e to the power st ds. In general, it is written as from minus infinity to infinity xs e to the power st ds. So where real of s is basically sigma. Obviously, s is equivalent to sigma plus j omega. So if we see the real part of the s, it is sigma. So we have real of s is equivalent to sigma is in the ROC of x. Note that this is a contour integration, basically where s is a complex number. It consists of both the real and the imaginary part. So we refer to small x and x as Laplace transform pair and denote this relationship, that is a small xt, the Laplace transform of xt is xs, which is capital X of s. In practice, we do not usually compute the inverse Laplace transform by directly using the above formula. Instead, we resort to other means, which we will discuss later in the slides. So, what is the difference between bilateral and unilateral Laplace transform? So, there are two versions of the Laplace transform, which is one is bilateral, which is called as two-sided Laplace transform, and the second one is unilateral, which is one-sided Laplace transform. For example, we have already discussed that a signal is suppose a signal is unit step signal. So for unit step signal, obviously ut is defined as 1 for t greater than equivalent to 0 and 0 for t less than 0. So obviously this signal is a right sided signal, and for this signal, if we define the Laplace transform, so suppose xt is basically ut. So for this signal, we define the Laplace transform, that is xs, that is 0 to infinity xt into e to the power minus st dt, and in place of xt we can write 1 into e to the power minus st dt. So obviously this formula, which is only for 0 to infinity, obviously it is not similar to bilateral Laplace transform, which is from minus infinity to infinity. So this is a unilateral Laplace transform or one-sided Laplace transform. So unilateral Laplace transform is most frequently used to solve different equations or linear differential equations with non-zero initial condition. Somehow there are some initial condition which we will discuss in the LTI system. As it turns out, the only difference between definition of the bilateral and unilateral Laplace transform is in the lower limit of integration. Obviously, in the bilateral case, the limit is from minus infinity to infinity, and in unilateral case, it is from 0 to infinity. It can be from minus infinity to 0 also, if it is a left-sided signal. So, for most of the part, we will focus our attention on the primarily on the bilateral Laplace transform. We will, however, briefly introduce the unilateral Laplace transform for solving differential equations. So, unless otherwise noted, all subsequent references to the Laplace transform should be understood to mean bilateral Laplace transform. So, what is the relationship between Laplace transform and Fourier transform? Obviously, we already discussed that in Fourier transform is in j omega domain and the Laplace transform is in S domain. So, if we put S is equivalent to j omega, it becomes a Fourier transform. But we have S is equivalent to sigma plus j omega. So, for making it from Laplace transform to convert to Fourier transform, we have to put, or we must have to put sigma is equivalent to 0. That is, the real part becomes 0. So, let x and xf denote the Laplace transform and the Fourier transform of small x. Now, the function x is evaluated as at S is equivalent to j omega, where omega is real, else xf omega, that is x of s at S is equivalent to j omega, is becomes Fourier of course the Fourier transform of the input signal xt. Due to the preceding relationship, the Fourier transform of x is sometimes written as x of j omega or sometimes it is written as x of omega. The function x is evaluated at an arbitrary complex value, that is S is equivalent to sigma plus j omega, where sigma is real part of S and omega is imaginary of x, can also be expressed in terms of a Fourier transform involving s. In this case, xs is equivalent to s plus sigma plus j omega is equivalent to Fourier transform of omega if sigma is equivalent to 0. So, where xf is the continuous time Fourier transform of xt, that is e to the power minus sigma t xt. So, in general, if we put e to the power minus sigma, suppose sigma t and xt, so if we put sigma is equivalent to 0, we have only xt remains. So, in general, the Laplace transform of x is the Fourier transform of an exponentially weighted version of x. Due to this weighting, the Laplace transform of a signal may exist when the Fourier transform of the same signal does not. So, due to this term, that is e to the power minus sigma t, we have multiplied by xt, we have additional term this, and if we put sigma is equivalent to 0, we have only xt remains, and that is the same as the Fourier transform, and in this case the Laplace transform of xt becomes equal to Fourier transform of xt. So, we will solve here some examples. Find the Laplace transform of the function where a is a real constant. So, we have taken here example, that is xt is equivalent to e to the power minus at ut, which is exponentially decaying signal and it is a right sided signal. So, this is a kind of this type of signal, that is xt and t at 0, it has a value 1. So, we can find out easily with this formula, that is xs is equivalent to Laplace transform of e to the power minus at ut multiplied by e to the power minus of s. So, it is from minus infinity to infinity, e to the power minus at ut, e to the power minus st dt. For removing ut, we have to put the limits or change the integration limits. So, it becomes now 0 to infinity because it is a right sided signal, and we take s and a adjacently and taking common as t dt because the limits are of t. Then if we solve this, that is minus 1 upon s plus a e to the power minus s plus a t, and put limits 0 to infinity, we will get 1 upon s plus a. So, we have a relationship here, that is around 1 upon s plus a. In order to, so this xs becomes 1 upon s plus a, we put limit minus 1 upon s plus a taking common, put t is equivalent to infinity, it becomes 0, and for t equivalent to 0, it becomes 1. So, we will get the Laplace transform of e to the power minus at ut, that is 1 upon s plus a. here we have a term which is called as region of convergence. So region of convergence is basically we can find out with the help of the numerator. Okay, so firstly we have to draw the poles and zeros in the axis. So suppose we have this part, x axis is sigma and y axis is j omega. So already we have s plus a which is equivalent to 0, s is equivalent to minus a. So there is one pole which exists. If we do numerator of s is equivalent to 0, it gives you poles, and if we do denominator of s is equivalent to 0, it gives you zeros. So I am taking numerator as zeros, poles. So s plus a is equivalent to 0 and s is equivalent to minus a. So we have one pole at minus a. So we draw a line just parallel to the j omega axis, and what will be the value for s, that for that the Laplace transform is valid here, or finite, giving finite value. So obviously it's a right sided signal, so we can define ROC, that is real of s greater than minus a. So this part is the region of convergence for the following numerical, that is xt is equivalent to e to the power minus at ut. Obviously when you put s is equivalent to minus a, at that point it becomes infinite. So obviously real of s should be greater than minus a, and that will be the region of convergence for the above question. So we have region of convergence here. How can we find the same thing? That is, at minus a we have a pole, we will draw a line just parallel to the imaginary axis, and maybe it have a minus a value which is right to the rightmost right of the axis, that is at this point. So region of convergence for this case, that is for a is greater than 0 and for a less than 0. It depends on what is the value of a. So for this we have a value of xs, that is 1 upon s plus a. Obviously it is a right sided signal, that's why we have a region of convergence, that is s, real of s greater than minus a. Next we have find the Laplace transform of the function where a is a real constant, and the Laplace signal is given here, that is xt is equivalent to minus of e to the power minus at u of minus t. Obviously u of minus t is a left sided signal, and the region of convergence will be always the left plane of the whatever the pole we are getting. So from the definition we can find out that x is equivalent to minus infinity to infinity minus e to the power minus at u of minus t e to the power minus st dt, and here the limits will change as u of minus t becomes 1 for minus t greater than equivalent to 0 or t less than equivalent to 0, and it becomes 0 for minus t less than 0 or t greater than 0. So we can here define the limits from minus infinity to 0, because up to t less than equivalent to 0 it is 1 and greater than 0 it is 0. So we have a term from minus infinity to 0. Then minus e to the power minus at u, in place of u of minus t we put 1 e to the power minus st dt, and we solve the equation and we will get a same equation, that is 1 upon s plus a for this thing. So the expression for both, that is for e to the power minus at u of t and minus of e to the power minus at u of minus t, the Laplace transform for both the cases are 1 upon s plus a. But if you find out the ROC, that is the region of convergence for this case, obviously the pole lies at minus a. If minus a is greater than 0, there is a case a, and if a is less than 0, there is a case b. So we draw a line parallel to the j omega axis in both the cases, and then we will find out what will be the ROC, that is real of s less than minus a, because it is find out for left sided signal. So this is for left sided signal. So for left sided signal we usually have real of s then less than minus a. So the region of convergence is less than minus a, and this is the shaded region which you can see from the diagram. Example 3, find the Laplace transform of the function, that is xt is equivalent to ut. So here we are finding out the Laplace transform of the unit step function. So we will define here, that is from minus infinity to infinity ut e to the power minus st dt, and it is same as the limit will change because ut is a right sided signal, so it is from 0 to infinity e to the power minus st dt, and when you solve it you will get 1 upon s for the Laplace transform of ut. So we can solve here, thus we can see that the above expression only converges for sigma is equivalent to 0 or real of s greater than 0, because it's a right sided signal. You will find xs, which is 1 upon s, and from the denominator we have only one pole, that is at s is equivalent to 0. So this is j omega, this is, and the right side part of the, obviously this region, that is s is equivalent to 0, because this is the pole. The pole exists at s is equivalent to 0. So we have real of s greater than 0. This is the ROC for the unit step function. So what is region of convergence for the Laplace transform? Let R denotes a set in the complex plane. A set R comprised of all the complex number, that is real of s, such that real of s is less than a. For some real constant, a is said to be left half plane. So the first diagram shows the left half plane and the second diagram also shows the left half plane, but the first diagram is for a less than 0 and the second diagram for a greater than 0. This is the case for a less than 0 and this is the case for a greater than 0, but both the cases will define you the left half plane. Similarly, for the right half plane, this is the case for a less than 0 and this is the case for a greater than 0. In the same way, the right half plane, the R denotes that real of s greater than a, and we have a shaded region that is greater than a for both the cases, that is for a less than 0 and for a greater than 0. So these are the references. You can read these basics of the Laplace transform from the textbook, that is A.V. Oppenheim, or you can also use T. Rawat, which is of Oxford, for getting knowledge about these basics of Laplace transform. Thank you.